So this video is not a vlog, obviously. I wanted to touch base with you guys about my health and stuff like that, because I know in my daily vlogs I mention going to the gym and trying to eat healthy and, bits and pieces about my past health and how I was and how I am now and blah blah blah. So I just want to make a video to touch base on it. Plus this is something that does mean a lot to me and I want to get back in shape. So we'll just start at the beginning when I was overweight. I've always had weight issues ever since I was a kid. Well, not as a kid, but I should say ever since I hit puberty, my weight gradually went up. And then I became less active the older I got. And a lot of it, to be completely honest, I'll probably make it a separate video, but it had a lot to do with my living situation, my parents getting divorced when I was younger, getting bullied on a daily basis throughout middle school and high school. I did end up developing depression and anxiety, which really didn't help the situation, and I became very attached to food. I do have a side of my family that is overweight, and I guess, as my mom will put it, does have food addiction. And I kind of take after that side. I don't have a really good metabolism at all. I always say that my metabolism is non-existent because that's how it feels if I'm not on top of it constantly. But between the way I grew up and the way my body developed throughout puberty and the depression and the anxiety and whatever, I didn't really want to go outside. I found comfort in food, and my weight gradually went up to, I think I was maybe 17 going on 18 was the highest weight I was in high school. I was probably between 155 to 160, right where I'm around that weight now. I think I'm around 165 at the moment, which isn't the worst I've ever been, but I'll get to that. And I was bullied a lot for my weight. I was bullied a lot for my stature, how I was built. I'm not a skinny little twig. I'm very broad. I do have a lot of muscle mass. I am built a little more stocky than a lot of women these days who are either really overweight or super skinny. There's no, I'm just that kind of in between. But I was bullied a lot for it, and I started really wanting to lose weight, but for the wrong reasons. I just wanted to be skinny. I wanted to be sexy, and in high school you really shouldn't be thinking about that kind of stuff, but I'm being honest with you and what was going on in my brain. I wanted to be, fit and sexy and attractive and cool and tough. I was all over the place, but my diet was horrible, and it wasn't any fault to my mom. In my past vlogs, I know I mentioned a lot that it was the food that she was buying and stuff like that, but she was doing the best she could, as long as we were fed and we had a roof over our head. That's all I should have cared about, but I cared more about, I wanted to eat healthy, I wanted to exercise and all this other stuff, but I couldn't find the motivation to go to the gym that I was living at when I was in New Jersey. It wasn't the best gym in the world, and there was a lot of creepers around my neighborhood. I know I mentioned I had a stalker when I was in high school, and this dude was he was old enough to be my father, and that was really creepy, so it made me feel uncomfortable about going to that gym. But it was free, and I still should have used it and taken my workout more seriously. But I yo-yo dieted for probably about 2.5 years, where I would lose 5 pounds, gain the 5 pounds back, plus 10 more pounds, and I would drop that 10 pounds, and then I would gain the 10 pound back, plus a few more pounds, and I had the mindset that once I lost the weight, that the weight would stay off and I wouldn't have to work out anymore. I wouldn't have to eat healthy anymore. And everybody knows that's not how it works. And I ended up moving here to Minnesota. And due to unfortunate circumstances, my depression got worse. I was dealing with a lot of stuff with my ex and just personal problems. I felt really lonely a lot. I didn't really have access to a gym. I found more comfort in food, and I was just really depressed. I never went outside. The winters were and are long and dangerous and cold here, so going for walks wasn't really a thing during the winter. And unfortunately, It's minus this winter. This winter has been very mild, but I have a feeling that's going to change here in the next couple months. But anyway, usually the winters start like the end of October and last till April. And that's a big chunk of time that I didn't go outside really, and I was taking the bus to work. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't watching what I was eating. I work at McDonald's, so there are healthy choices at McDonald's, and I realized that later, but I was just eating things I shouldn't have been eating and wasn't working out or anything, but I always wanted to be fit and healthy, and again, like, that mindset was driving me crazy, that I was super unattractive, I wasn't healthy, I wasn't happy with myself. A lot of it had to do with, I knew I could be better than that. I knew I could be better than that, and I knew it wasn't the way that my body should be, and I'm doing it to myself. I had nobody else to blame, but I always had that inner, like, health nut inside of me that was like, you can be better than this, you are better than this, and you need to just find something that works for you. And towards the end of my first time being in Minnesota, I joined Anytime Fitness, and the lady was really nice and gave me a few months free because I was having trouble finding a job and I couldn't really afford it. So I was going there a lot, and I was starting to see progress because I was working out really hard and whatever. But due to unfortunate circumstances, that if you want to figure that out, you can watch my actual vlogs, because I explain it in more detail in like my actual daily vlogs. I ended up having to go back to Jersey, and me going back to Jersey, I ended up dropping about 30 pounds in probably 6 or 7 months. And I'm going to call it a happy accident, because I didn't go to the gym at all while I was there. I mean, I think I may have gone to the gym towards the end, but that was about it. I didn't go to the gym at all. What it was I was, and it sounds kind of weird, but my depression prompted me to end up losing weight, because I wanted to be alone a lot, and as my work was about 3 miles away, and the bus didn't drop me off where I needed to be to go to work. It dropped me off still about a half-hour walk away from my job, so I just started walking to work because I was bored. I didn't really want to be around people. I had nothing better to do, so I started walking to work. So that was about a 3-mile walk to work, and then I would do my shift. That was like 6 or 7 hours long, and then I'd walk the 3 miles back. So on average, during the week when I worked, I was walking at least 6 miles a day. And I didn't really have the motivation to eat like I used to. I didn't, and at the same time I was smoking cigarettes, and that had a lot to do with suppressing my appetite. I wasn't hungry as much because I was smoking so many cigarettes, because I was really depressed. And on days off, I didn't really want to be around my house, just sitting around and doing nothing. I didn't really have any friends at the time, so I would just take walks. I would go out and I'd walk for a couple hours. I'd walk to work to talk to my managers or something, because I started getting close with some of my managers, or I'd walk to Starbucks or something like that, or I'd walk all the way downtown to where my old high school was. I would just walk around because I had nothing better to do, and I didn't really want to be around people. So I could walk anywhere between 6 to 12 miles, like every day to every other day, just because I was bored, and that's what I would do on my free time. I would just go for a walk. And then when I started making friends, I ended up with this guy. I'm not going to mention his name, how I met him, anything like that, but I ended up with this guy for the most of the time that I was in New Jersey, for like the 8 or 9 months I was there. And I really liked being around him, so I got the smart idea to start walking to his house, or if I got a ride to his house and I stayed too late, I would walk back home, which was like a 12-mile walk or something crazy like that. I think it was something, at least from my house to his house, I think it was like a 12-mile walk. It took me about 2 hours every time to either get there or get home. Drinking a lot of alcohol, smoking cigarettes, just stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. And then on top of that, I had managed to cut out pretty much all of the junk food that I had been consuming, like the last time I was in Jersey and when I was in Minnesota. I stopped eating fast food. I cut out soda. I cut out juice. I cut out junk food in general. I was still eating, and I would still eat McDonald's food, but it would be in such little portions that it didn't really matter. It didn't really affect me because I was walking it off. So between cutting out junk food, soda, juice, walking anywhere from 6 to 12, sometimes more than that, every day to every other day, I ended up, and smoking cigarettes, because it does suppress your appetite and it does make you lose weight, but it is not a safe or healthy weight loss thing. I'm not saying it is. I know it was very stupid. I am not saying that's the way to go. But I was really depressed at the time, and that was driving me to do the things that I was doing. And the only good thing that it did was make me get outside and walk around. But in the end, because of all that, I ended up dropping about 30 pounds. So I went from my highest weight of 186 to my lowest weight of about 150. I think it was like 150 to 148. I was bouncing between 148 and 150. I hadn't been that weight since I was in high school. So at that point, I had stopped drinking profusely. And I decided to move back here to Minnesota under circumstances that didn't work out. Again, you can look at my vlogs and you'll be able to put two and two together. But I knew that I wanted to keep the body I had, because I hadn't been that weight in a while, and even though it was an accident, it was a happy accident. I didn't mean to lose that weight, but I did, and I felt pretty good about myself for losing that weight, and I wanted to see how far I could go. So I ended up joining Anytime Fitness again, and my coworker slash friend Peter ended up going with me. So for about like 4 months, we were going to the gym almost every single day, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, and we would just work our butts off. Like, I wanted to see how far I could push myself. I wanted to see how strong I could get, how much more weight I could lose, and I ended up going from about 150 to 143, and I was bouncing between 143 and 145. I was starting to build more muscle. I was the smallest I had ever been in my entire life, and that's my skinny point. Like, as far as losing weight, is 143. I can't get below that without starving myself, and I would never starve myself. I love food too much, which got me in trouble to where I am now. But at the time, I didn't know Nick. I didn't have a boyfriend. It was just me, and that's what my routine consisted of, was pretty much going to the gym was my me time, and I would push myself to the limit at the gym to where I was absolutely almost like had the shakes because my muscles were so worked out, and I had done so much cardio that I was just dripping in sweat, and I was in the best shape of my life, and I had natural energy. It took a lot to stress me out or make me angry because I had so much of that chemical you get in your brain from working out that I was just calm, I was happy, I had natural energy in the morning, I wasn't completely dependent on caffeine, which was pretty awesome. And I was still smoking at the time, and working out and smoking don't really go hand in hand, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I was the healthiest I'd ever been, was the point, and I was very happy with it. I took a happy accident and made it into something on purpose. The gym and eating healthy were my lifestyle. I cut out fast food, soda, sweets, salty stuff, juice. I was pretty much just on protein, vegetables, water, coffee, and tea. And even my coffee, I measured precisely how much sugar and milk I was putting in, or if I had creamer, how much creamer I was putting in my coffee, because I didn't want to lose that. I was very strict on myself, and it was hard. It was not easy. My body was still getting in the routine of it, but it was my life, and it felt awesome. And then I met Nick in April, and he is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I'm so in love with that man. He is so amazing to me, and he has made me so happy in the last 7.5 months that me and him have been going out. It's either 7.5 or 8 months that me and him have been going out. and I was still at my best weight and the best shape of my life when me and him first met. But we started going out a lot because we could only really hang out on weekends. So when we did hang out on weekends, we'd always go out to eat. And we'd always go out to eat at these really good restaurants and Mexican food and like really good burgers and stuff like that. And I kind of stopped going to the gym because my work schedule was making it very, very hard for me to go to the gym, but I shouldn't have used that as an excuse. But between like my schedule making it really hard for me to go to the gym and meeting Nick and going out to eat like every weekend, we'd always eat like a ton of food on the weekend. I started gaining weight and I started neglecting the gym, and I ended up freezing my gym account over the summer because I was on this schedule where I'd have to get up at like 4 in the morning to go to the gym and be at work at 9, start at 10. I wouldn't get done till 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8 sometimes. And so at the time I was taking the bus, and the problem with that is I had to wait for the bus, and I wouldn't get home till maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'd eat something really quick and go to bed to do it all over again the next day. And it got to the point where I was so exhausted that I froze my gym account at Anytime Fitness because I still wanted to go, and I knew I was going to go back, but I needed a break. And I ended up switching my work schedule to mornings, 7 to 3. So I'd get off. My plan was to get off at 3 and then go to the gym right after work. But my account had stayed frozen until about November. So up until this month, I haven't been able to go back to the gym, and I missed it. And I have been going to the gym since my account got unlocked. But I have gained quite a bit of weight since, and so has Nick. He has a good body, but he's admitted he doesn't feel the same. He doesn't feel as good as he did, and neither do I. My body isn't bad by any means. I'm not like extremely overweight by any means. I'm not where I was at my highest at 184, but I am hitting that like 160 area, and that's kind of my danger zone. And I do not want to go back to the way I was, for sure. I was very unhappy. I was very lethargic. I was starting to have health issues, like chest pains, problems sleeping. My depression started acting up again. Just not having any motivation to do anything, and it really sucked. But I did end up quitting smoking because of Nick. He helped me quit, and I haven't smoked in over a month, actually. I think it's rounding on 2 months, honestly. And that makes me really happy. I do feel better. I can breathe better. Going to the gym, I really thought that my cardio had suffered a lot, but my cardio is still where it was, thankfully, and a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I quit smoking. But I am starting to hit that danger zone with my weight again, and me and Nick were talking this morning. It's the 27th, a Sunday. We were talking this morning about our health and stuff like that, and we made a promise to each other that if I start taking care of myself again, he'll start taking care of himself again. And I'm bound and determined to do that because I do not want to get to where I was. I was miserable. I was self-conscious. I did not feel attractive at all. I didn't have any energy to do anything. I'm starting to become dependent on caffeine again just to barely make it through my day, and I do not want to be like that again. I miss having natural energy. I miss the feeling of being healthy and attractive and confident in my own skin. And it just felt good to be able to spend that kind of time at the gym and do something productive and meaningful to my body to keep it healthy, and I missed that. So I'm gonna start going back to the gym on a daily basis, unless I get injured or sick, obviously, but I'm gonna start taking my gym routine more seriously, and I'm gonna start taking my diet more seriously. I do want to get back down to at least 150 to start with, and then work my way back down to between 145 and 148. I feel like I'd be pretty happy there. That's kind of where I was. I feel like I'd be okay there. If I can stay at 145, that's where I'm going to be, but I'm not going to cry about it if I'm, you know, don't go below 148. With my body type, my stature, my height, I cannot go below 143. That was the skinniest I'd ever been, and I'll show you a picture here. That was the skinniest I'd ever been, and I was happy that way, and I felt fit, I felt healthy, I felt happy, I felt energetic, and I want to get back down to that, but I can't get below that without starving myself, and I will never starve myself. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to play that game. It's not going to happen. But, yeah, that's pretty much my plan now, is to start taking the gym more seriously, start taking my training. I call it training because that's kind of what it is. Take that more seriously, take my diet more seriously, because I have been slacking on my diet a lot. And so that's the one thing he had to admit to as well, is me and him have been eating like crap. And when we do go out to eat, we eat a lot of food. We don't eat the right kind of stuff. We started drinking soda again, and I don't drink it as much as he does, but it is kind of a bad habit that if he goes and, you know, gets a Coke from the gas station, I'll get one too, or an energy drink, which are so bad for you. We're guilty of that as well. So the plan is to cut out soda, energy drinks, juice, you know, stuff like that again, and to cut out eating out. Not only will it save us money, but we don't need to be putting that kind of stuff in our body. And every now and again, going out to eat is not going to be that big of a deal, but we've been doing it way too much and way too close together, and not getting enough exercise to make that okay. So I'm going to be taking my diet more seriously and start going back to eating the way I was, and start taking the gym more seriously, because right now I got a couple months free at the gym till January. So I got between now and January 1st free at the gym, and there's no reason, I mean, it's free, I'm not paying for it right now, because my gym owner, or the owner of the gym that I go to, is super amazing, super nice. I love her to death for helping me out like this, because my financial situation's a little at the moment, but that's another story. And so pretty much I have no excuse, and my work schedule allows me an ample amount of time to go to the gym after work, and so that's the plan. If you guys have any questions or you want to know more, ask down below. I'd be more than happy to answer, or make another make a Q&A video about it or whatever, if this video even gets that much attention. But yes, that is my story. That is the plan. If you guys have any more questions, like I said, feel free to ask them, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. Wish me luck.